All right, guys, welcome back. Boots Go in Pairs. We've had a full week of baseball, lot to talk about, a lot of fun things, a lot of controversial things. But so the first week of the season, it feels like it's a lot of games, but it's really a small sample size. I feel like it's easy to kind of jump off the ledge. I've been hearing a lot of the Brewer fans complaining. Now they've won 2 in a row. They don't look great either. But a lot of good like opening day notes. One personally that I want to hit on first is, as a Cub fan, again, Kyle Tucker has been phenomenal. One thing that stings a little bit, though, is Cam Smith making the opening day roster and playing. I am pulling for the guy. It's a great story, but that's tough to swallow. You literally drafted the guy less than a year ago, and now he's already in the big leagues. And if you don't get the extension done with Tucker, you lost a literal major league ready player. Did you see the Cam Smith video where they like called his mom in for that? I mean, very cool. And he's not tearing the cover off the ball, but I just got a little anxious for a brief moment in time. I had to talk myself off the ledge that we give up a major league ready player. The uniforms look good. I mean, I see a lot of alternate colors. I don't see a lot of the grays. I did see the Cubs road grays today. Those look good. I'm glad they corrected that. Any other side notes for you for the first week?
Lots of very cool stuff. Just to comment on the Cam Smith thing a little bit. One thing it can give you some solace and peace, interchangeable word, is that the Cubs talent evaluation is pretty good because you drafted a solid college hitter and he did really well in the minors and he was a valuable trade piece that we acquired a superstar with. Granted, we don't know if it's going to be for one season or many seasons. But their ticker is on when it comes to that. Very happy for him. Good to see him being embraced by a solid organization. So again, very happy for Cam Smith. A little bit anxious if we give up a major league ready young kid that early in his career. But yeah, aside from that, there's been lots of super cool stuff. Some stuff that's been very apparent that you'd expect, and other things that you wouldn't quite expect. So I had a couple of hitters that I wanted to highlight. Guys who are just mashing right now in this first 5 to 6 game stretch. I mean, obviously we've seen the show that Aaron Judge has put on. Already had his first 3 homer game of the season, which is ridiculous. They said he didn't get to home run number 3 until game 25 last year, or he didn't hit his first home run until game 25 last year, and he hit 68. Not that it's any correlation because they always do that joke on opening day. Oh, well, hits his first home run. He's on pace for 162. But cool to see Judge getting after it, hitting some tanks, not using the torpedo bat, using a normal bat, which is pretty again cool to see a good player doing well. Cedric Mullins is off to a pretty hot start, piling on the RBIs, playing really great defense as well. Cool to see him. Gino Suarez, can't believe the Cubs are still pitching to him. He's been killing them his entire career, but yeah, really torched the Cubs in their first series, the Diamondbacks' first series of the year in Arizona. I saw the roof open, which was pretty cool, which doesn't happen very often. But yeah, and then Gino continues that into the next series. Hit a go-ahead grand slam in the 8th yesterday against the Yankees to give the Yankees their first loss of the season, which, again, Gino is playing really well. Really cool to see a player like him doing well with Arizona, a team I really like a lot. And then to highlight what you were talking about, Kyle Tucker just being an absolute stud, being that feared bat in the Cubs lineup that we've been talking about for a couple years, not having that really scary superstar-like guy, inserting himself in this lineup, elevating everybody, giving everybody confidence, driving in runs, running the base as well, playing solid defense. Really cool to see what he's been able to do so far and propelling this Cubs offense, which leads baseball in runs scored. So on the offensive side of things, that's what I've seen so far. There's so many guys doing really well, but those are a couple of guys I wanted to highlight.
Yeah, Gino is such a good hitter, and it's cool to see him. I thought he was kind of trending downward. There's a couple of years where he's hitting sub 200. You're like, what's going on with this guy? He is a really good. He's the current all-time leading home run hitter against the Cubs. Again, he was with the Reds for a long time, but he's just adding to that total. He had through. It's like at a certain point, it's like, why do we keep pitching this guy? 2-run homer, 2-run homer, 2-run homer. I mean, it's just what he's been able to do is incredible. He had a great year last year, and I kind of saw during the Cubs series, I saw in the backdrop, it was like Eugenio Suarez bobblehead April 12th. I'm like, why would they do a bobblehead for him? He's really good. That's why, because he's
really good.
Fan favorite. He's only been there for a couple years, but they really like him, and Diamondbacks are a solid team.
And one thing he does
slow down too. Like they've been on a not great tour as well. So
one thing that Gino knows how to do is hit the ball out of the park. Hit the ball over the fence. Somebody, I believe it was Gracie, Mark Grace, on the call, who brought up Gino's stats. I guess since like 2000 and I don't know if it was like 2012 or 2014, whatever. Maybe it's in the last like five plus years. He's like fourth in baseball in home runs. Like there's only 3 guys who've hit more home runs than him. One of them's Judge, one of them's Matt Olson, and then there's one other guy, but he's number 4. So he knows how to hit the ball out of the park. He always played solid defense, I thought. Like you were saying, the batting average hasn't always been there, but yeah, guy definitely has got a great power stroke, a great compliment to this Diamondbacks team with all their young, athletic, stud players. It's fun to see. On the pitching side of things, I wanted to highlight a couple teams, not necessarily individual performances, because we haven't really had a big sample size so far, with the exception of Nate Eovaldi throwing 2 gems so far.
Yes.
And Shota as well throwing right, and as well Shota throwing some solid outings as well.
Yep.
But the White Sox pitching staff, their starting staff,
yeah,
unbelievably, they have been on fire. I mean, it's not like they're playing great teams, but they played the Angels, and the Angels are 4-2. But they have I think it's five starting pitchers have gone 5+ innings and collectively have given up 2 runs. 2 runs from starting pitching in 5 outings.
They're one of 4 teams to start the year with 4 starting pitchers not allowing a run. 4 teams ever, which is crazy for a team that is going to be bad. The White Sox are going to be bad. It's going to catch up to them. But they had a good week. And that's the crazy thing about opening week, opening day. Every team has a chance. Every team feels like they're in it. But yeah, the White Sox did something that hadn't been done since like the 30s. So
and it's not like these guys are like prospects. A lot like they're probably like some of them are like Cannon, I think is younger, or so, their list of guys. I was just looking at their ages. Like some guys are 25, some are 28. Like journeyman Martin Perez threw a nice outing for them, 6 innings, and I believe it was no runs for him.
Prospect,
obviously,
so.
But Martin has been Martin's been there. Martin has performed for a lot of different teams. He had some solid years in Texas. He had some solid years in Minnesota. He's been kind of a journeyman, but like to see him go out there and freaking deal, like that's cool. So yeah, I mean, you don't wish. I mean, obviously, you want whatever Jerry's involved in to just crash and burn, but like for the players in the organization who are suffering through this, for them to see some kind of success, that's fun to see. Yeah. I'm never going to hate on anybody who is busting their butt out there and trying to win some games, regardless of how I feel about the team or the organization. Another pretty stellar performance by a pitching staff. The Padres are 6-0, undefeated. Yeah. Their bullpen has been ridiculous. They've given up, I think as of yesterday, 1 earned run in 21 innings to the bullpen. And they lost a bunch of pieces. Like they lost Tanner Scott. They lost some pieces in free agency. But I kind of said it going into this that the Padres are my pick to win the whole thing. I just think they're stellar. They have a good mix of like veterans and younger guys. They're pretty strong. on defense, hitting, and pitching. Like they're a really fun team to watch.
I mean, we say this every year. Bullpens are volatile. Bullpens change. You don't know what group of 8, 12 guys are going to be the stud bullpen pieces every year. We were trying to figure out the Cubs bullpen, and we're like, will Tyson Miller be good? Will this guy be good? We don't know. To have a new group of guys isn't uncommon. To see them pitch well, not shocking. Again, all these guys have live arms.
Right.
You see a guy like Class A let up a run his first outing. Josh Hader, not as shocked by that one, let up a bunch of runs already. Devin Williams struggled in his Yankee debut. So you have these household names that you think are going to be, or that you know should be good, but struggle early, might struggle late. Who knows? David Bednar already got sent down to AAA. And he was lights out from 01 to 21 to 23. Probably no one better back in the bullpen.
Right.
They probably should have traded him, honestly.
Right. It's hard to trade a guy who has a 5.5 ERA, though.
You can't trade him now. No, but
no.
Like when the Pirates were they weren't going anywhere. You trade
in 23. That was when he was at his peak. That's when they should have dealt him. Yep. Last year was the worst possible thing that could have happened to him. Worst possible season he could have had, and he didn't get better. Like he got absolutely shelled, and they were still running him out there for saves. Like still trying to recapture the magic. And I mean, it just happens. Yeah, I mean, it just happens. But it's like try anybody else. I mean, but kind of going back to what Craig's strategy. Like he's going to pitch his best guy until you can't. You physically can't anymore.
When you're a team like Pittsburgh and you're out of it by, July, all you can do is keep throwing that guy out there, and hopefully he figures it out, and hopefully fetches you some prospects in return. To what end? I have no idea. The Pirates are going to waste Paul Skeen's first 5 years of his career before he doesn't sign an extension, and then they have to trade him, right? Like that's kind of inevitable because they just don't surround him. They're 2-5, and actually they lost opening day when he started because they blew it late in the game. But his start is the only one they won. They won today. Yep. The next time they win might be his next start, right? Or that's at least the chance that they have to win. They're not great.
No.
Nolan Arenado, opening day, hitting the home run after getting criticized about his bat speed. Again, he's not the player he used to be. I don't like the Cardinals, but I like good baseball players. I like Nolan Arenado. They're off to an okay start. Again, we know
they're 4-2 now.
Yeah, and we know that they don't. Well, who knows? Who knows? I don't know.
Right.
They could be a good team. I don't expect them to be there. No one's really expecting them to be a contender for the division, but it's interesting to see them starting off at a good clip.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like they still have solid baseball players. And I mean, you just look around the diamond. I mean, they've transitioned Willie to first base. I saw him make a really nice play the other day. I was watching forgot who they played in their opening series, but I was watching him play. Ivan Herrera hit 3 bombs today. Yeah. So he did really well. And then you got like Brandon Donovan's a solid player. Mason Wynn.
Jordan Walker looks good.
Yeah. Jordan Walker looks really good. Mason Wynn is Mason Wynn. I mean, you got Arenado, and you got these guys, man. Like, and they just know how to win. Like, they're not going to stay down for very long. They have a bunch of ball players. Lars Nootbaar's having a nice start to his year. So if you can get Nootbaar and Jordan Walker and Mason Wynn, the young guys, mixed with these veterans, and you can keep Wilson on the field, like that's a tough team.
Yep. Well, and it's funny because Mason Wynn is one of those guys, like Pete Crow Armstrong, when something happens, you all eyes are on him. Ground ball, anywhere in the vicinity of shortstop, you can hear the excitement in the announcer's voice. It's like, oh, and here's Mason Wynn, because he's going to throw as hard as he can to first base, and man, does he do it. Again, same with PCA. He gets a ball in play like today. The ball's in the outfield. He's going to. He's going to, or if he gets on first, he's going to try and steal. He's always going to do something electric. Mason Wynn is also that guy. Fun to see him.
Right. And then he can get to everything too. Like the arm is plus, but like his range is unbelievable. He's so athletic. And regardless if it's the Cardinals, you want to see good players perform. I forwarded you a highlight video, like plays of the week or plays of the day, and it's just there's just nothing like baseball highlights. Like seeing these guys, like Bobby Witt, someone hit like an in between hopper up the middle. He nice pick, shovel to the second baseman, covering and gets the force out. They're just fun stuff. Like Nolan Arenado grabbing a short hop and doing his running throw across the field, across his body. Like just fun plays. Guys taking nice routes. Guys being insanely athletic. It's just fun to watch. It's fun to watch exciting, electric players.
Yep. Last opening day note before we move on to a little bit of Cubs talk. Tyler O'Neill, former Cardinal, former Red Sox, has now hit a home run on 6 consecutive opening days. Mm-hmm. Will he go for 7 next year? Who knows? But man, does that guy just like opening day? And maybe he's just fully juiced up for it and ready to go. But it's just one of those baseball stats. Man, mm-hmm. This guy on one specific day just hits home runs all the time.
Right. So, I feel like Ian Happ is like the same. Like Ian Happ is like the National League version of Tyler O'Neill. Like just
Ian Happ has hit the last 3 or 4 seasons. He's hit the first home run of the Cubs season.
Correct.
For the last 4 years. It's like, okay,
yes.
There you go. Not always on the first day. A couple years ago, it was on the first pitch of the season. You know?
Right.
That always happens.
I remember that.
But yeah, so
I mean, O'Neill, but yeah, I mean, biceps, dude, biceps. That's all I got to say about him.
Onto the Cubs. It's nice to kind of get some more games under our belt because we were sitting on 2 losses after the Tokyo series. Whoever signed up for that, I don't think they should ever do it again. It is a wash, but they are back. They are healthy. They have a full lineup. And as you alluded to earlier, Kyle Tucker in the middle of that lineup changes everything. I remember when we were talking to Kyle Stanley, he goes, people are undervaluing what he brings to the table. Man, it just makes everybody better. Seiya Suzuki looks better. Yeah. I mean, Nico's tearing the cover off the ball. I know we were kind of skeptical of if he was going to be ready for the season. He looks great. Miguel Amaya looks great. Carson Kelly hitting for the cycle the other night. What? Yeah. Dansby looks good because he's not the centerpiece anymore. These guys aren't being relied upon, and Kyle Tucker's hitting like he should. It's just a balanced lineup. The bullpen, I don't want to talk about the bullpen. But this lineup kind of got the memo of like, hey, we got to score some runs. I don't think they want to leave Sacramento. I think they should just stay out there for another week. Like
it's a nice hitter's park. It seems like.
Oh, sure, especially when half of the A's staff lets up fly balls. I mean, and they're just flying out. My play of the week so far though has to be the Dansby Swanson close out the game. Fake to first, run. I think it was Hampton was pinch ran, rounded third too wide, and he just ran at him and tagged him out. Because I'm pretty sure Ryan Presley was going to blow that game, but Dansby said, "I'll be the closer. It's fine." That's why you sign a guy like Dansby Swanson.
Right. Actually, it's Ryan Stressley, not Ryan Presley. It's Ryan Stressley.
I feel, I agree. That's why his beard is so great.
Dansby, it's just that you've talked about it time and time again. It's the timing and just being that defensive gamer and knowing exactly where he is on the field and exactly what he needs to do, how much zip he needs to put on it. Like always aware of what's going on. Yep. He's done a walk-off like throw someone out at the plate or throw behind a runner before. Yep. Coach Corbin at Vanderbilt, I believe it's Coach Corbin. I think that's his last name. But his coach at Vanderbilt said he's been doing that since he was in college. Like the guy is just on at all times, and it's like you need players who are making defensive plays like that. If you want to, I mean, a play like that belongs in October. Like that's an October play, heads up play. The thing is, like Dansby, his defense, it just rubs off on everybody else. Like the Cubs defense. Their infield defense, their outfield defense, their defense is ridiculous. Like they have the potential to win like best fielding team of the year with all the guys they have. So happy that Nico only missed a couple games because he probably made like 5 or 6 plays the other night when I was watching the game. Like 5 or 6. Like he's just a difference maker as well.
To stay on Dansby for a second, I mean, he was the Cubs, and again, we talked about his hitting, just lack of hitting last year, and hitting 240. He hit 19 homers, but just felt like he was lacking at the plate a little bit. He was the Cubs' highest, and I hate WAR, but he was the Cubs' highest WAR player last year at 4.3. Mm-hmm. That's how valuable his glove is. Mm-hmm. And he said post game, he goes, and it's the internal clock thing, that he knows, when a ball's hit, where the ball's got to go. He knows who's up. Corbin Carroll's up. Mm-hmm. Slow chopper. He said it. He goes, I'm not going to first. The way that ball is hit, I don't have time to go first. I know that.
No.
So he goes,
not with Carroll's game-changing speed. Right. He's like the fastest guy in baseball, or top 3 fastest guy in baseball.
But he knew, again, he's got that internal clock. He knows, all right, this ball's coming too slow. He didn't even make that big of a fake towards first. He just threw, and then he looked straight at third. He goes, wow, look at that guy.
And
it's like
he's done.
Yeah. And you know what? He had time to get back to third. I think he was just so shocked that all of a sudden Dansby's running him down. Like he only had, 4 feet to go, and Dansby's like, nope, we're gonna take you out. So yeah, it's just that baseball IQ. And then he's hitting the ball okay. Like he's hit a couple homers. He's on, like, it's on the label right now. Like he's crushing the ball. But yeah, Nico has been, his numbers are good. He was talking yesterday. He's always on Tuesdays, so I always try to listen to him. They asked him, like, oh, like, hey, you started out really hot. Your numbers look great. Do you try not to think about anything? He goes, no. He goes, I'm not making great contact right now. He goes, just because I'm getting hits doesn't mean I'm, like, being super successful. He goes, I'm not making great contact, so I'm still focusing on hitting the ball well. Okay, great. I love that, because then he's going to hit line drives. But, yeah, the defense, you could tell his arm is still a little weak probably from the surgery. But he was making some throws. He's still getting the glove is still there. So
it's there.
He may not play shortstop for you this year, but he's a hell of a second baseman. And it's so much fun to watch both of them.
I mean, he's never going to play shortstop as long as Dansby's there. And I don't think he cares. That is the best up-the-middle defense in the league by far. And I think he's just another guy who's going to benefit from the Kyle Tucker, just him being in that same lineup. He can just kind of relax a little bit and just hit line drives, focus on getting on base, hit line drives. Nico's a big contact guy. He's going to put the ball in play most of the time. So all these guys, like, they're going to come out and they're going to show up on defense. But like the bats, I just feel like this is not a fluke. Like they're gonna, but the thing is, we're gonna get a really good test this first part of the season, because their beginning schedule is brutal. They play the Dodgers. They play the Dodgers 3 times. They play the Padres twice. They play Philly. They play they're playing, I forgot, the Rangers. Like, they're playing a bunch of very good teams. They don't really get a break until they play Pittsburgh, which is like at the end of April.
That's okay.
And if you run into Paul Skeens, like, that's not a break either.
Yeah. You know what? Tucker's defense too is severely underrated. I know he's a Gold Glove, but like,
he's a Gold Glover.
So there was a ball hit yesterday, and it was like, Seiya's out there. It was like, oh no, it's a Gold Glover, and it's just so much more smooth. Everything he brings to again, I'm not worried about them playing stiff competition, because this team just aesthetically looks so much better. Now again, we start playing some close games, and there's some bullpen situations. That's where it might get a little uncomfortable. But you know what? You need to address it. You need to make some trades. You need to go for it fully. But man, do I like their hitting. They're not relying constantly on their starting pitching like they were last year. They're not constantly relying on the bullpen. 3 games in a row, they blew the doors off the A's. So, yeah, absolutely fantastic. No complaints about that.
No, the bullpen will need to get figured out, and I'm thinking that they will figure it out. I'm not really worried about Presley, and I'm not, like, we don't have any Hector Neris's on this team. Like, Nate Pearson's his leash is going to be pretty short, but I'm not really concerned about Morgan. I'm not really concerned about Presley. Like, they have their, and here's the thing: if some of these guys don't perform, see you later. There's other arms, but like, between the bats, and the starting pitching, like even when it hasn't been right on, like guys have gutted it through. I mean, Ben Brown had a really good start.
Yep.
3 runs on 5 innings. First start of the year, looked really good. Breaking ball looked great. Fastball was hitting 96, 97. Matthew Boyd looked very good. They kind of screwed him. The bullpen screwed him. He deserved way better. He was hitting 94, 95, nasty stuff. You couldn't even tell, like, when he was throwing a changeup or a fastball. Like, it was the same slot. He looked excellent. Shota's been unbelievable these first couple starts. JMO had a really nice start today, and I know Steele has had a little bit of a rough outing, a couple outings, but like he really gutted through that performance last night and almost got him 7 innings. So I really hats off to Steele for like really gutting through that and almost getting 7 innings for the team.
Steele would be the only one that is concerning. He got shelled by the Dodgers, which is fine, but then he got shelled like they were hitting him very hard, and it's.
Right.
You know, it's fine if you're getting outs, and you got through it. But at a certain point, because again, he pitched okay last year. He just didn't get a lot of wins. That's fine. He doesn't throw very hard. So if he's not locating, and he's been frustrated with his location so far. That's been the biggest thing. So if he's not locating, it's not as bad as Kyle Hendricks, because Kyle Hendricks threw significantly slower. But if he's not locating, that could be an issue. So hopefully it's just a location issue and not maybe an arm issue. I don't want to speculate.
Yeah. He's a slow starter notoriously, though.
Sure.
I mean, he heats up. Like, I'm not really worried about him. If we get to the end of June and he's got like a 4.5 ERA, then I'll be a little bit concerned. But I'm not really concerned. The velo's still there. I mean, he's throwing 93 miles an hour.
Right.
He's just, like you said, missing location a little bit.
Yeah, you can tell when he's throwing. Like, he's mad when the ball leaves his hand. He's not mad at the umpire. He's mad because he's missing a spot. So that's probably the biggest thing for him. But yeah, I mean, the best way to avoid bullpen issues is to not rely on the bullpen and score 10 runs plus a game. And, and granted, they're not going to be able to keep up that pace, but just to know that they have the capability of doing that is really fun to watch. That means it is. Again, they only really added one bat, but it's a really good bat. I mean,
it's a very good bat.
And Matt Shaw's been good. I mean,
Matt Shaw's made some plays. I mean, he's made a couple errors early, but like he's making plays. He's starting to make contact. Yeah. His first home run was a freaking missile. Like, he is just, he'll be just fine. I'm not worried about him.
The only one not hitting is PCA, but with him, it really doesn't matter. Just get on base somehow. Even if it is a ground ball to left side, they have a force out at second. I know you're the runner on first. That is an improvement, regardless. Because now, I mean, Jim Deshane said it a couple times. Oh, that's a double, because he's going to try. And he got picked off the other day too. But you know what? You take that because he could potentially get you in scoring position, and now you're a bloop or a blast away from scoring a run. He runs the bases so well. It does not matter how he gets on base. Just get on somehow. You're a weapon. Your defense is good. Like, just do something. He drives other teams crazy. I've heard it from Brewer fans already. They hate him. Good.
Right.
He's pesky.
And then you have players like Justin Turner who are like he can pop into third base. He can pop in at first base. He can pinch hit. Like, he has the experience and he's got that championship pedigree. So you got to believe, like we were saying before, like he's coaching people up. He's teaching younger guys how to be in the clubhouse, how to be on the field, how to have confidence. I just like what's going on. I really like what's going on. We're very, very early, but it's super encouraging to see. Like I was saying before, they have a very big test with all these really solid teams that are going to be on the schedule. So
I feel more like they go into every game currently right now. Again, I know you just played 2 teams, and but with this the roster they ran out there in Tokyo was not the roster because they were not ready to start the season. This roster, every single day I would expect them to compete, and or win. I don't go into any series going like, oh man, they just don't have the talent to compete. Not when you're hitting like this. Not when the lineup is this stacked. I don't have that feeling. And every starting pitcher is pretty much pitching well. right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have five. You don't have a number one necessarily. I don't think they still have an ace, but you have
Right.
five good starting pitchers. You should go into any regular season series and expect to win the series, or that's a realistic possibility. Last year, didn't feel that way from day
No.
one. I didn't feel that way. So this is
Mm-hmm.
definitely a different feeling. It's a fun feeling. I like that feeling.
Right. And they really, I think this is their division to lose.
Yeah.
If they don't make the
On paper,
playoffs,
yeah.
yeah, on paper, if they don't make the playoffs this year, either they had an abundance of injuries or some team really overperformed, because I just can't see with what they have, this mixture of veterans and young guys, and really being deep when it comes to starting pitching, deep on defense, deep on offense. Like
Yeah.
the bullpen thing is going to drive us crazy, but I'm hoping they can figure it out. They have enough guys who've done it for a long time to where it shouldn't be an issue. But yeah, you gotta string some good string some good outings together. Gotta be locked down. Can't be blowing big leads where you have a 97% chance to win going into the eighth inning.
Yeah.
You can't be blowing games like that.
That may be the worst loss of the year too, and it's crazy to say that because we're this early in the year. It's hard to fathom another situation where you let up that many runs that quickly, that late in the game.
But good playing against a good team.
Yeah,
Like the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are a very good team.
I also don't think making the playoffs should. I mean, with all the extra wild cards too, this team, if healthy, should make the playoffs.
Right.
I don't think. I think anything less would be a severe disappointment, barring
Right.
injury.
So you're saying like winning a playoff series would be kind of where we're wanting to be.
I don't know. I mean, making it should be the expectation.
Right.
But I don't think it's like far fetched to think they would make the playoffs at this point.
No, they're on paper, like you said,
Yeah.
best team in the division on paper for sure.
Absolutely. Biggest topic in baseball right now is the torpedo bat. I don't know if it's funny. I don't know if it's cheating. I've heard two sides of the spectrum. I've heard Nico Horner talk about it in the calmest, simplest manner of what it is and where it came from. And I've also heard Will Clark talk about it in the most extreme. The reason these guys use it is because they get jammed and they can't hit. And basically they don't learn how to hit right. What's your initial thought on the torpedo bat? Again, because it's the biggest topic in baseball right now. It's kind of crazy.
It looks more like a bowling pin to me.
Yeah.
But I think, it's a baseball bats over the years. There's been so many variations, right? I mean, you have different guys trying different things because they think X, Y, and Z works. I mean, a couple years ago, the hot thing was the axe handle. Victus was kind of the first big bat company to offer that axe handle. It was not really widely accepted for a little while, and then they started allowing it. There's something about just that down, getting your hands through, like, and all that stuff. Another thing was the big knob that you saw. Another thing, really encouraging your hands to get down and through the zone, get the bat through. The torpedo bat, from what I've heard, I listened to the Nico Horner interview, which was awesome. I heard him talk about it. And then also our buddy Joe All, who is the owner of All Bat Company, he was kind of talking about the physics and stuff behind it, getting more technical. But yeah, essentially having more of the weight and a bigger part of the bat being the sweet spot, and then thinning out towards the end, so your hands can get through, your hands can clear. You're making more contact in the most solid part of the bat, and the sweet spot's bigger. But yeah, I mean, to echo what Clark says and kind of echo what Joe said as well, it's like, well, what is it really, like, innovative, or is it just something that put a Band-Aid on a bad swing? I don't know. It's kind of debatable. Not to diss my man Will Clark, because Will was a great player, great hitter, played against some very good talent, very good pitchers, but like he didn't see anybody like what's going on. He wasn't seeing 100 miles an hour from everybody, and the kind of movement that these guys are. Right. Hitters need any advantage that they can get. So
right.
So to call out a guy's mechanics, it's like, guy could have a really good mechanics, but a guy just makes him look silly.
Right.
If he can get a little bit of an advantage, why isn't he going to do it?
Here's my biggest problem with the criticism of it, because again, the Yankees caught a lot of flack for it because they hit, 9 home runs in a game. You know what? Maybe you're just exposing a bad Brewers pitching staff.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of Yankee home runs that day, a lot of barely over the fence home runs. So you know what?
Right.
And yeah, some guys did. Jazz Chisholm has 3 home runs already. But you know what?
Right.
Jazz Chisholm also struck out 4 times yesterday and got the golden sombrero. So
Right.
I don't want to diminish anything that these hitters are doing because of a bat. You still have to square up the ball. It is the hardest thing in sports to do, is to hit a baseball.
Right.
So if a guy's doing it with a different style of bat, great. Nico Horner's reference was, it was the axe bat, and how, some people accept it, some people don't, and now you don't really see it. He goes, if this works for people, they'll continue to use it, and in a couple of years we might see more of it. It may not,
Right.
it may, the long stretch of it. I mean, yesterday the top 4 hitters in the Yankees lineup went like 0 for 16.
Right.
And 3 of the 4 guys, other than Aaron Judge, used the torpedo bat.
Yeah.
Again, it's not a magic bat.
No.
It doesn't make you a better hitter.
You still have to make contact.
It literally changes the sweet spot. So again, I think it is, again, it's a little harsh, but to Will Clark's point is, oh, you're having trouble, you're getting jammed. And he used a lot of profanity when he was saying it, but basically, you're getting jammed. Okay, let's move the sweet spot to the jam spot. So all of a sudden, that's a single instead of a jam shot. Okay, well, he goes, that's not really accomplishing anything, because you're just covering up the fact you're getting jammed all the time, right? So if that's the case, cool. If a guy hits a home run instead of a long fly ball to the warning track, good for him. I mean, what do you want these hitters to do? I agree. These guys are throwing so hard, it's impossible to. I would like to see less swing and miss. Honestly, if they made that bat, sign me up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm all for that. But the notion that the bat is the reason why the Yankees hit all the home runs is okay, but like, give credit to a team that was squaring up the ball that day.
Mm-hmm. I'll take a few jam sandwiches over a golden sombrero.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks. What's the old saying? Oh well, it looked like a line drive in the scorebook. All that matters is that you got the hit and you got on base.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're gonna have bad mechanics sometimes. You're gonna take bad swings sometimes. It's just what happens. It's the hardest thing to do is hit a baseball.
Right.
Also wanted to note that last year when Stanton had that historic like postseason run, he was using a torpedo bat. That was not.
Oh.
It was developed in the Yankees organization. One of their guys
he hit the ball 434 feet instead of
Right.
432 feet. Got
Right.
it. Got it.
Right.
Okay.
But still, that was kind of where it came. I mean, I know they've been experimenting with it for years, and but he was able to use that bat in the playoffs, and he had a lot of success with it. So
You don't get something like we talked about with Joe when we talked about who knew that that would be a hot topic, that people want to know how bats are made.
right.
The process of getting a bat approved for Major League Baseball is like, and that's why he said he doesn't do that, because it's just a long process. You got to sign contracts. You don't just get to put this bat on the field and then like,
No.
okay, do whatever you want. Like, it's so critiqued. It's
Mm-hmm.
so like hypercritical. You can't just put something random out there and then start using it. So to think that the Yankees were doing something illegal is almost funny,
Right.
because I know it's like, oh, they're the Yankees, because McGill was like, oh, they're the Yankees, they'll probably get away with it. And no, what are you talking about? Like, this has been standardized. It would not be on the field without being standardized. So
Right.
And Nico alluded to yesterday, he goes, it's not a Yankee thing. I know
No.
everyone's like, oh, how could it not? Like, no, it's not just them. Everyone's allowed to. You just might not see. Again, Kyle Tucker's a great example. He doesn't look uncomfortable against anybody. Lefty, righty, Paul Skeens, he looks comfortable in the box. He's not using one.
No.
Because he has his bat. He probably has hundreds of bats made every year. Has a lot of success with those bats. Probably doesn't want to try something to offset that. A guy like
Oh,
Nico that's trying to make the best contact he can, he's like, yeah, I'll try it.
great. Well, give it a try. He's
Yeah.
on a short list of guys
He also said
who are
he's
using
like
him.
never used a birch bat before, and that's all these are made out of is birch. So he goes, yeah, I'm trying
Yeah.
something new in terms of the type of wood too. So like we're learning a lot about lumber this first couple
Right.
weeks too, which is kind of funny.
Which is fantastic. It's
Mm,
fun. And like
yeah.
I'd rather talk about an interesting product that is being tried out and people are having success with it versus like the uniform fiasco. Like that was a
Yeah.
product that they tested and it flopped big time and we had an
Uh,
entire couple years of just trash. It's like good innovations or interesting innovations, like I'll take that all day.
yep.
We don't want another like uniform debacle.
Right.
Um, yeah, I'll take this all day. It's interesting to see. Like again, the axe handle was fun. Seeing the big knobs was fun. Like Jeff McNeil, like he had the big knob on the bottom of his
Yeah.
bat. Yeah, it's just interesting to see. It'd be cool to see like Louisville Slugger or somebody even having Joe on to talk about it more.
Yeah.
Um, like just kind of the science
Well,
behind certain things.
you know, parents are gonna buy their kids the torpedo bat if they think it's gonna make them
Oh,
hit home
for
runs. So there'll
sure.
probably be a metal version soon. One guy who's not using a torpedo bat, or doesn't seem like he is Rafael Devers, who set the major league record for most strikeouts through 3 games. He struck out 12 times. He struck out 17 times in the first 5 games. Finally sat down.
He was 0 for 19 with 15 Ks
Yeah,
going into today, and he finally got
finally
his
got a hit.
first hit and
Um,
RBI.
he is not healthy. I don't think it has
No,
anything to do with him not playing third base. He's
no.
coming off the shoulder surgery. They noted that his swing speed is down by about 2 to 3 miles an hour, which is a big difference. He looks very uncomfortable at the plate. Um, are we chalking it up just to his health, or do you think there's something deeper going on with the Red Sox?
I would definitely, and we've seen, and I would, I don't think I'm being going out too far on a limb here when I'm saying that Rafael Devers is one of our favorite players to watch, at least when it comes to hitting. We're both big fans of his. This is not normal for him. We've seen other players that we really like have shoulder issues and they just don't look the same. I think about Chris Bryant. I think about Bryce Harper. I
That's
think
another
about
guy.
certain guys
Yeah.
like the shoulder injuries are tough. And you don't see the power. Like Bryce Harper, I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, but I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He was supposed to not come back until July, and he came back in May. And like people were like, oh well, his power's not there. He's hitting some doubles, but it's like when your shoulder is not right,
Yeah.
you can't elevate. You can't get through. There's a lot of things
Yeah.
you can't do. Like your shoulders are very important when it comes to hitting.
Right.
And they're really, really important when it comes to everything that you're doing in baseball.
Especially when
So,
what you do well is power, and what you're
right.
known for is power, and that's how your swing is. Like Nico coming back from his shoulder, not as big a deal because A, second base, and B, he doesn't hit a lot of home runs.
No.
And when he does, it's like he really gets it, you know. So and he's not trying to really hit home runs, but when you're
No.
Devers and your swing is built for the monster and hitting
Yeah,
over the monster, that's a problem.
it is. And I think, yeah, like the early season, like antics of like, oh no, like I'm not giving up third base. I think that was a little bit overblown.
Hmm.
Rafi at the end of the day is a professional.
Yep.
He's a complete professional hitter. I don't think he gives a crap whether he's playing the field or he's being the DH. Like he wants to be in the center of all the chaos that this Red Sox lineup can cause. And I mean, honestly, he's not the only guy who's struggling. Pretty much their entire lineup is struggling. They're not scoring runs. They won 3-0 tonight, but I believe they're like 2-4. They faced a really, really good Ranger team for the first series, which against tough. But yeah, I just think as he continues to build up some strength, shoulder continues to get stronger, the team starts to heat up a little bit. He'll be fine, but
Yeah.
it's a little bit interesting. It's just interesting given all that's gone on this offseason. Like, oh well, here's the struggles. Well, yeah, people don't realize that he barely played in any spring training games. That he's been
Right.
recovering from this injury.
Right. You can't get too high or too low. It's April 2nd.
It's April 2nd.
We played so many games already before April even started. So the overreaction, I don't think it's really been there. I've seen a lot of, like, Jake Peavy was talking on MLB Network the other day. They're like, what's going on with Devers? What's going on? He goes, that's not a guy that I worry about. There's certain guys that get a pass. Jordan Alvarez has, 2 hits to start the year. You don't worry about those guys.
No.
If it's a younger kid, you worry about, like Shaw. If Shaw was really, really struggling at the plate and he struck out 17 times in his first 5 games, that's concerning. But a guy like this, you got to let go. Again, you don't want to overreact. Even to the good, you don't want to overreact. Although, Jed, sign Tucker. Get blank check. Don't overreact, blank check. You got to wade through the early season stuff. But he is a guy that you need to get healthy. That's really what it is. So
yeah, for sure. And I'm not concerned about it at all. I think they'll be fine. He'll be fine. They'll be fine as a team. Just again, unfortunate when you run into some really good teams. And now they're playing the Orioles, and they ended up getting a 3-0 win tonight. So it's tough, man. Yeah. These are good. There's a lot of good baseball teams out there. There's a lot of teams that can come in and pop you in the mouth.
Yep, absolutely. One guy that will not be there for the long term is Jurickson Profar, who got popped for an 80-game PED ban. The other part, which I didn't realize, he can't participate in the postseason.
No.
Now, given the first week of the season, Braves aren't exactly trending that direction. Ronald Acuna is still out. They still have an immensely talented lineup, even without Jurickson Profar.
Right.
So they probably will be in postseason play. But 80 games plus the postseason, that's brutal. I didn't really see exactly what he got popped for. But that stinks for a guy you just signed. Jurickson Profar was kind of turning it around a little bit.
Yeah. To speak on that a little bit more in depth, just signed a 3-year deal, which was, I think it was the longest deal that he's signed so far, aside from like a rookie deal. Used to be was a former number 1 overall prospect in baseball. He could play anywhere on the diamond. Had a lot of struggles in his younger career, especially really just in the big leagues. Like for a while, you're thinking that he was going to be a 4A player. It's like, man, this guy's too talented not to be doing this. He had some injury issues as well. Had a really solid first half in Colorado a few years ago, and then San Diego traded for him, and then he really just took off. Last year, first time he made the All-Star team, played a solid first base for the team, did really well, looked comfortable. I listened to him on the Diggin' Deep podcast with Eric Hosmer. They played together in San Diego. He was on with Tatis, listening to the two of them talk baseball. Like Jurickson really loves the game. And I know this is probably going to kill him. But I did take a little bit of a dive into what he got popped for. So it's called HCG. So what's weird is that it is a hormone that's found in like pregnant women. Yeah. So it's found in like the placenta, and it keeps the baby like healthy and strong. So I'm like, that's kind of weird. So I looked into it, like, well, what does it do for men? Apparently, it is used to after a steroid cycle, it's used to help like level you out and increase your testosterone, or it's supposed to help with like testicular atrophy. So your balls don't shrink up on you. Sure. So yeah, not really sure if that's meant to be like a cover up for steroid use, but I read in an article that he said he got tested like 8 times last year and didn't get popped. So he was kind of surprised that he got popped for using that, and that was found in the system. As far as he knew, he wasn't doing anything wrong. Whether that's true, I don't know. I after looking into it a little bit more, like I when it comes to performance enhancing drugs, I kind of have a soft spot for them, not for any reason besides I think they help keep people on the field. They help
Yep.
you. They help your body stay strong. They can help you get through some injuries. Like that's what we want. We want guys, the best players, to be on the field at all times. We want them to be performing at their best at all times.
current
Um,
current day, when I see the PED, it's not even that it leaves a bad taste. Like Tatis got popped for it a couple years ago.
right.
Whatever. Ryan Brown, when he got popped for it, it's like that guy's not
Right.
doing the Jose Canseco,
Right.
Barry
These are
Bonds
not. These are
juicing.
not.
You know?
These are not. It's not Balco. It's not
Yeah.
anabolic steroids. These guys
Right.
aren't juiced out of their mind. They're freaking wiry and strong. And like,
Yeah.
I think it's just a little, like a little edge.
Yeah.
Freaking Doc Ellis used to drop LSD before his starts, and
Yeah.
people, guys
Again,
used to take like horse tranquilizers to
Yeah.
get amped before a game. It's like guys have been taking something a little extra to get amped up. They want to put on a show.
Yeah. I'm not promoting or condoning any of it. Um, but yeah, when I see a guy like Jerks and Profar get popped for it, it's like, okay, what? Honestly, why even testing the guy? Again, I'm not promoting they should be using or doing. There has to be a standard. You have to have a level playing field, right? But yeah, for the sake of it, I mean, it literally probably is just so he can be 100% or close to it every day. So
Right.
yeah, for
I
me,
wonder
it's
how many times. I wonder how many times the Golden Boy Otani has been tested. Probably not as much as he should.
why would you test him? Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
Well, we'll see. Honestly, since they've gotten back from Japan, he's hit one home run, but he's also started to ramp up his bullpen sessions. And I
Right.
know he's a couple months away from even starting or going to pitch in a game, but you can see even the small sample size, when you start to work on two different things, all of a sudden, again, at 6, 7 games, whatever it is, but it's noticeable. I don't know. It's
Right.
noticeable. He's not stealing
Yeah.
as many
I agree.
bases. You know, he might be a little
Nope.
tired from his
Yeah,
bullpen.
maybe a little tired. It's tough. It's tough to
Yep.
be a two-way player.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see like some of these football players too, who think they can play two ways.
Well,
I don't think so, Travis Hunter. I don't
yeah.
think so.
Last small little topic we have, or I have, we have 2 teams this year playing in minor league baseball stadiums. We got to see this week with the Cubs, the Athletics in Sacramento, and you also have Tampa Bay playing in Steinbrenner Field in Florida, the Yankees spring training site. What are your thoughts of these stadiums? Do you care? Nico, again, Oakland native, had some thoughts on that. Said, yeah, I think the A's should still be playing in Oakland. That's at least a big league stadium. But, you know, we play anywhere. It doesn't matter. But did it feel like a minor league stadium to you when they were playing there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Looked like one. Smelled like one probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. The A's situation is a little bit different than the Rays situation. The Rays had a natural disaster happen to their stadium. The A's just have shitty ownership.
Yes.
I I feel bad for the players in both spots. I feel a little bit worse for the Athletics players because I don't know, man. They have some really solid young players. They have some really fun, talented guys,
They have an
and
interesting team.
they have an interesting team.
It'll be interesting though because the Cubs draw well. The Cubs will sell out a 12,000 seat stadium in a heartbeat. It'll be interesting to see tomorrow when they have a different team come in if they're still at home, what that attendance looks like. The
Right.
Rays, same thing. I think they actually benefit from a smaller stadium because they'll actually probably sell that out.
Right.
But again, it'll be interesting to see. I saw opening day. I didn't watch game 2 for the Rays. So it'll just be interesting to see those 2 particular franchises that don't draw well, how well they draw in the smaller venue. And if that's worth something looking at. I mean, the Rays have said they're not going to build that ballpark village now. They're going to rebuild the Trop. So that means we have at least probably another 20 years of Tropicana Field.
Right.
That's what it sounds like, right? Especially if you're going to rebuild what's there or whatever it was, you know.
I wonder why they're not. I wonder why they're not building that ballpark village. I wonder why not.
They must not connect with that city. I don't know.
I guess not. I guess not.
Apparently
I
not.
guess not.
But hey, again, that'll be interesting to watch. The Cubs don't have to go back the rest of the year, so I'm sure they probably love to play there all the time. They're blasting the ball there. But yeah, just another side note, just another oddity of this season. It'll be weird to see, the Yankees go down there a couple times because that is
Yeah.
like they'll draw, but it's like you're literally gonna put Aaron Judge in a 10,000 seat stadium. Like
Right.
the biggest difference is that second and third deck. Like you don't have
Right. Like, this is not a
Coliseum.
rehab start. This is a real game.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, other than when they played like the Williamsport game, that's in a smaller venue, it's more intimate. That's a
Right.
special one-off. That game still gets a little bit of hype because you're doing it for the kids or whatever. I don't know who they're doing this for, especially the
Right.
Sacktown A's.
Right.
Are they gonna call it that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Right.
Any final notes? Anything else you're thinking about before we wrap this up? I know we've had a lot of
Right. Lots of
exciting.
stuff, man. It's been a really fun opening like couple weeks. It's been fun to watch games. Like I've just been, whether I have it on in the background or I'm watching intently, it's just good to have baseball back. It's really good to see different games. I love having the MLB package so I can watch whatever I want. I can see a particular pitching matchup or see a particular offense that I want to watch. It's fun to just scroll through the games on like a Sunday afternoon. It's like, all right, I'll watch Red Sox Jays, or I'll watch Mets Phillies or something like that. But yeah, the one thing I wanted to highlight before we sign off here, had some pretty cool extensions for players. Some of them younger, most of them younger actually. Cool to see Jackson Merrill get a 9-year extension, 21 years old. First round pick in 2021 by the Padres, and transition from being a shortstop to an all-star Silver Slugger center fielder in his rookie year. Really excited for that Padres team to keep rolling. Excited to see what they do this season, and he's going to be right in the middle of it. Another young man who got an extension was Christian Campbell. Cracked the opening day roster for the Red Sox. Drafted him in 2024, I believe, out of Georgia Tech. Cool to see him up already, making a difference, starting at second base. He got a 8-year, $60 million deal. Garrett Crochet got a huge extension with the Red Sox, 6 years, 170. He's only 25 years old. Glad that the Red Sox inked him. Has a lot of promise. Excited for him. And then Ketel Marte getting a nice extension as well. Much deserved. One of the best bats in this game. Plays a great defense, and that Diamondbacks team is also fun to watch.
Marte, Perdomo, Brandon Pfaadt all got extensions with the Diamondbacks. That's a good point, and this might make me pay attention a little more to college baseball. Obviously, Paul Skeens was the gold standard for that. You have some guys that are skipping remember we were talking to Cole Stringer, he's like, I skipped all the levels. No, literally, we were having guys skipping all the levels, going straight from, Wyatt Langford, essentially going AAA a little bit, and then he's making his debut.
Well, that kid with the Angels, I think his name is Ryan Johnson, never pitched a minor league game, and he's already pitched. He's already up.
Yeah, so that is how you're going to get kids to switch from football or basketball to baseball. Is create a pathway for them to actually play and not play 6 years of minor league baseball before they're even considered. It's cool to see, and maybe just they're more ready coming out of college. We know that
They are.
Kids are not
They
ready.
are. It's night and day, and college baseball has always been really great. It's been a very special game. But it's like these guys are ready to go. You see some of these facilities. You see LSU's facility, Vanderbilt, any school in the SEC, any school in the Big Ten, like any of these big programs, like they're like professional players. And now they're getting paid as well. It's like they have all the accommodations. Like these guys are throwing harder, like they're hitting the ball further, like they are ready to roll. It's not like it used to be, even though it still was a really great game, but it's like these guys are just ready. That's why you see a guy like Cam Smith. You see all these other guys.
The fact that we have 2022, 2023, 2024 draft picks already playing Major League Baseball is a cool thing, and that kind of connects the dots from draft to pros, and you can actually follow these guys a little closer. I remember the Cubs drafting Cam Smith, and you're like, oh, this kid out of Florida State. Okay, cool. I did not think he would be making his debut, granted for another team, but why would I assume that he's going to be playing this year? right?
Right.
In Major League Baseball. You think you're going to be watching down a little bit longer, but no, here he is. So
Yeah.
it's cool to see. And then for a guy to get an extension already, $60 million. Are you kidding me? All guaranteed? Sign me
Yeah.
up. We all talk about the baseball money that like, oh, if your kid can get $750 million, yeah, go for it. It's like, yeah, but if you can
Right.
get that guaranteed early on, I
Yeah.
think it's a
It's more
risk.
money. It's more money than you'll ever need
Yes.
if you look at it this way. It is a
Yes.
risk. Campbell's going to be 30 years old. I'm sure he'll kind of probably renegotiate. There's probably something in that contract. But yeah, to get that guaranteed money, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who the first guy was. Like John Singleton. John Singleton was probably 20 years old, hadn't played a professional game yet, and he had it was like a 9-year, like $30 million contract.
Yeah.
It's like, holy cow! Like
Well,
I can take care of my family
yeah, we saw the White
forever.
Sox. The White Sox did it with a lot of their prospects, and it hasn't really turned out. So that's the darks. But the White Sox don't spend any money, so they were either going
No.
to do that or nothing. But like Jackson Merrill getting his deal, we saw
Yeah.
Corbin Carroll get it last year and then struggle in year 2. That's
Right.
the concern. But I think it's good for the health of the game with these young guys getting up faster, and then get them paid. Why not?
Yep.
Why make them
Mhm.
make league minimum? Doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But,
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, gotta take a risk, and I think it's a good risk for both parties. And again, their agents probably have the best interest for the player as well, looking to protect the player. There's probably some kind of like opt-out clause after a certain year, or there's performance metrics that if you hit them, you're going to make more. There's all sorts of stuff.
yep, there's a pathway for sure. But yeah,
Yep.
a lot of fun stuff. I'm excited for the start of the season. I've been watching every day just because I'm excited about the Cubs season. But I just like watching baseball in general, so I will flick on whatever. But yeah, just looking forward to more stuff to talk about, continuing the conversation all season. But a great first start of the season for sure. So keep watching,
Absolutely.
guys. Keep watching. Pay attention.
Mhm.
I don't think there'll be another torpedo pat this year, or
No.
a conversation like that for the rest of the year. But it's fun to get one early and often. But yeah, until next time, Boost come in pairs. Take it easy, guys.
Peace.